Welcome to the State of the Channel 2019 address, where I'm going to update you on some of the things I've been working on, things that are coming in the near and distant future, and just where the channel stands overall as of right now. So this year, 2019, we should hit 10,000 subscribers, not to get too far ahead of myself, but I think that's a safe estimation right now. Overall, that means that the channel is still but a speck of dust in the universe that is YouTube, but to me it actually does mean a lot. To hit 5 digits, considering that I've done almost everything here by myself, I've never been part of a multi-channel network, I'm not part of an MCN, I've never had a bigger YouTuber raise my arm and say subscribe to this guy trying to put me over, like The Rock putting over Roman Reigns at the 2015 Royal Rumble. To hit any kind of milestone to me means a lot, so thank you all for joining me, and welcome to any people coming on in the near future. Milestones aside, there has been a change on the channel that happened about a month and a half ago that you might not have noticed, and it has to do with how advertisements are displayed on the channel. Ever since I've been able to display ads on my videos on YouTube, I have just left whatever the default is for every video alone. YouTube lets creators customize how advertisements display on their channel. You can change it in your default upload settings, or you can change it per video, so you can say how many ads you want, whether or not they're going to be things like mid-rolls or sponsored cards, etc. You can even get really granular and change when the mid-rolls will actually play in the middle of a video. So if you have something that's really long and structured, like say a TV show almost, you can choose to put the ads at like just the right place at the end of major scenes or stuff like that. But in watching back old videos, I came to the conclusion that I thought that there were too many ads. I'm just like you, I consume a lot of internet, I consume a lot of YouTube that isn't mine as well, and I have a complete appreciation for how important advertising is on the internet because it lets creative people make money where people are not paying them directly. But at the same time, the average user hates advertisements. They don't want too much of it. They don't want it to be intrusive, and neither do I. So I made the change to remove unskippable video ads and sponsored cards on my videos every new upload going forward. Now, it's not a guarantee that it'll always work because sometimes I end up losing control over ads on my videos anytime something gets copyright claimed. For example, that's happened a handful of times for Caligula overdose videos. But most of the time, whatever my default uploads are should apply to anything new I upload. That means the only ads you should see are things like banner ads, little pop-up windows that appear at the start of videos, as well as skippable ads right before a video starts. It isn't a guarantee because sometimes YouTube isn't perfectly reliable in how it delivers ads, but that's what you should see. Now with that said, that applies to all new videos that started going out at the start of this year, but it doesn't apply to the old ones. All the old videos have their own monetization settings one by one, and changing them to the new ad plan is possible, but it would be really arduous and it would take me a long time to do it, so I just haven't done it yet. I might do it at some point if I ever have a lot of free time, but it's not something I'm expecting to do in the near future. But there are some videos I did put the work in switching over, and those are all the Trails videos. So every video in the Trails Master playlist, regardless of when it was uploaded and when it published, should be on the new lighter ad plan. With all that said, understand that by reducing the number of ads I play on videos, I'm trying to make things more user-friendly for you, but it also means that the channel makes less ad revenue overall. I make less money on YouTube. That's not the worst thing in the world. I never got into YouTube to make a lot of money or anything, not that I've been making all that much to begin with over these last couple of years, but it does help when that paycheck comes every now and then. So this is the point where I remind you that a few months ago I started a Patreon for the channel. It's not very extravagant, there are only a couple of tiers, one for $1, one for $5, and if you join the $5 tier, what you get is your name appearing at the end of every video as a thank you. As I've said in the past, if I get more patrons, I'd like to add higher tiers and start thinking of more unique rewards and things like that. But I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself and start promising things I can't deliver, especially when there might not be that many takers to begin with, because again, the channel is just a speck of dust right now. So if you want to join in and kick me $1 or $5 a month, it would mean a lot to me. You certainly don't have to do it. but it does help very much. And for the handful of you that are already in, Owen, Phil, Logan, Jorge, and Sluck, thank you guys, it means the world. I should add, however, that if you choose to come in and join the $5 tier to get the thank you note at the end of videos, you might not see your name appear right away, because it depends on when I'm editing videos, not necessarily when they're publishing them. So if you join tomorrow, you might not see your name appear in a video for a few weeks or maybe a month. It all depends on when something gets recorded and scheduled, not necessarily when it's publishing. Keep that in mind. But I promise you that for the month in which you are a patron, every video I edit that month will have your name at the end of it, I promise. Speaking of the Trails videos and future content, I've been doing a playthrough of Trails in the Sky the Third for the past couple of months, and as of right now, that is scheduled to end on August 27th of this year with the 38th and final video, but that's subject to change. I said in an older update that the reason that those are coming out so slowly and I'm only doing one a week is because I want to do an easy transition from uploading Trails in the Sky the Third to the next game, Zero no Kiseki, or Trails from Zero. But the problem is that whenever I get to play and record Trails from Zero is completely out of my hands. As you probably know, I'm in the same boat as everyone else and waiting patiently on the Geofront localization project of Zero no Kiseki. Just over a week ago, Zero got a progress update saying that the project is at about 80% completion right now, which isn't a big jump in terms of percentage from their last update last year, but they did show off a lot of cool new features. Everyone's really excited and looking forward to it. And there's hope that it'll be out sometime this year, maybe before Trails of Cold Steel 3's official release. My fingers are crossed that the team releases the project sometime in that August to September time window so everything works out perfectly. But you never know with these things, they take time. With that in mind, the Trails in the Sky the Third upload schedule could end up getting moved forward or backwards depending on what happens. I'm working on some things that on any given Tuesday could end up taking the spot of Trails in the Sky the Third and moving the entire schedule back 1 week. Or on the other hand, if all of a sudden the Zero project starts making a lot of headway this year, then maybe I'll speed it up. Whatever it ends up being, I want the transition between the two to be as seamless as possible. But if there ends up being a big gap between Sky the Third and Zero, obviously you know why. I would also like the chance to play Trails from Zero privately first before recording it, just to refamiliarize myself with the game, as well as what this version of it's going to look like. So I might take a month to essentially rehearse it before beginning recording and uploading it. The good news is that once Zero is out, it's pretty much smooth sailing from then on when it comes to playing through the Trails games. After Zero comes the fan translation of Trails to Azure, which is by no means perfect, but it's the best we're going to get for several years. It would take years for there to be a more in-depth edit of the game the way Trails from Zero is going to be this year, or for an official localization to come out, which is not planned but I suppose isn't technically impossible. So there's no use waiting around, we'll play through what we've got and make the best of it. After that comes the official releases of Trails of Cold Steel 1, 2, 3, and presumably 4. Because if Cold Steel 3 is coming out this year, I'm going to guess that 4 will probably be coming out next year or soon after. Speaking of Cold Steel 3, maybe I lied when I said that there wouldn't be any more new content about CS3 this year. But first, let me give some follow-up thoughts after the last update. I know some people were expecting me to make a second video after NIS America had their panel at PAX South announcing the former localization staff from Xseed Games coming on to help with Cold Steel 3. But I thought it would be a lot of work, so I decided to just pin a comment to the old video saying that I was happy with it and move on. And I still am happy, but as it would turn out, and planning this very video, some things did change and I had to re-record this section. That change is unfortunately that Brittany Avery, who was a project manager, coordinator, and an editor on several of Xseed Games' Trails localizations, and was going to work on Cold Steel 3 with NIS America, is stepping away due to health reasons. It's very disappointing, but these things happen. She hasn't ruled out that she could end up playing a small role in the project sometime in the future, but first and foremost, I hope she takes care of herself. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we'd all rather have a healthy Hatsu who isn't working on CS3 than one that isn't healthy and is. Take care of yourself, Brittany. As for the state of the game, all I can say is that I still have a lot of respect and faith in Ryan and Chris, who were also hired to work on the game and have experience with the series in the past. And I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of people on the fringe are still unhappy and they never will be happy, but for me, there's just no use in living in the past. I'm ready to see what kind of game we're gonna get, and hopefully it's a good one. As for me and whether or not I make more content about Cold Steel 3 this year, I do have some ideas, but I only want to make things that I think could help people. I don't want to make videos for every little piece of news about Cold Steel 3 that's going to come out this year. I don't want to be clickbait and just regurgitate the same things that you're going to hear everywhere else and on news sites. If I make something, I want it to be useful. I want it to be helpful to someone. And I have a couple of ideas that could be useful. Whether or not those videos pan out and actually get made over the next several months is up in the air, but keep it in mind and hopefully things will work out. Continuing on with content information, there are some scripted videos that are currently in the works. I'm still writing them out and I need to record B-roll footage for them, but they're coming out pretty nicely, the scripts anyway. I'm working on 3 different scripts right now that are Trails related, and I'll be recording footage for them soon to make more highly produced videos that'll come out later this year. As far as LPs go, we got 2 ending this month. Caligula Overdose concludes as does Spider-Man on the weekends. The Caligula Overdose finale was kind of a disaster. I tried to stream it live and then crazy bugs happened and I had to figure things out on my own time and eventually record the finale later. It was just a train wreck. But it did get done and I did finish that game and schedule it. It's all good to go. And in fact, the full LP of Caligula Overdose ends before the game even technically comes out here in North America. So you can see the entire thing early if that's what you want to do. As for what's going to be taking those series' place, well, I've got the next 2 planned out. One is going to be Yakuza 0, which I've never fully played, and I'm excited to try out. And the other is going to be Persona 3 Portable, the FemC route, which I've been thinking about doing for a few years now, and I'm finally getting around to, now that we know that Persona Q2 is going to be launching in the summer. There's some other things planned out for later in the year, not counting Trails from Zero, obviously, including one new game that's coming out that'll get a full LP, and some other ideas that I'm throwing around. One thing I'm really excited to hear about in March is whatever the heck Persona 5 R is. A lot of people think it's going to be the announcement of a re-release slash definitive version of the game. I hope that's actually what it is, because I'd like to do Persona 5 again, but I'm thinking about doing something kind of different and experimental with it. So if P5R is a re-release and it comes out in English sometime before the end of the year, then I'd like to do it next year actually, but do it in a new way. The idea would be that I would put up 1 video a day of it corresponding with the in-game calendar. So you get to say June 5th in Persona 5, and that day's events would go up on June 5th next year. The pacing would be really weird because sometimes days in Persona 5 take hours to get through, like if you're doing a dungeon for example, whereas some days are only like 10 minutes long if all that happens that day is a single cutscene. That's why I said it would be an experiment, and rather than all of this being like regular upload content, it would be in addition to anything else I'm doing at the time. It's a little bizarre and I'm not sure if it would work, but I want to throw the idea out there and see what people think of that. Especially because there would be no reason to hurry through a Persona 5 re-release, considering most people who care about P5 have already seen the original release of the game, and I already did a full playthrough of it as well. So that's it, I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not sure if anyone on YouTube has tried that before, wouldn't shock me if someone has, but I came up with it on my own and I'm curious to see if it would work out at all, or if people think it's too crazy or interesting enough that they'd care. One last thing I want to touch on is the topic of streaming. Right now there are no streams planned in the immediate future. It's something I'd like to do more, but my schedule just kinda doesn't allow for it. The advantage of recording things privately is I can do it whenever I want. I can do it in the middle of an afternoon on a weekday, or I can do it at 2 AM. And believe me when I say that happens a lot, given how unusual my sleep schedule is oftentimes. Later in the year things might change in regards to my schedule and living arrangements, and it might actually become more convenient to stream, so maybe it'll start happening more frequently at the end of the year. But I'm not committed to anything, and I'm still not even committed on whether or not I should be streaming on YouTube or Twitch. I don't know. I'm not married to either platform in regards to streaming, so I suppose it depends on which one people want more, or if they even care at all. If it matters to you, let me know, but for right now, streaming is on hold for at least several months. And there you have it. That's the state of the channel as of 2019. That's a look at things that are coming in the near and far off future, and things I'm hoping to get done this year. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta get to work. The month of February, I'm kind of incognito outside of just uploading videos, because there's a lot of work to catch up on and things to get out of the way. So to all of you who have joined me up to this point, as well as those of you who will be joining in the near future, I say thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.